Thank you. So yeah, as I said, I asked actually to be here to talk to you about serendipity. I first want to tell you, before I tell anything about myself, I want to tell you what serendipity is, because it's quite a broad concept. But according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it's the faculty or phenomenon of finding valuable or agreeable things not sought for. I don't know about you, but this sounds a little bit confusing to me. English is not my native language, so I'm like, what? So I came up with my definition. Serendipity is finding gold when you're looking for a needle in the haystack. You can, of course, have two attitudes to finding gold when looking for a needle. You can either look at it and like, awesome, I get gold. Or you can look at it and like, oh, that sucks, it's not a needle. That's what I'm looking for. So I want to tell you about an example of serendipity that happened with Keith Jarrett. He's a pianist, he plays jazz. And in 1975, a 17-year-old girl from Cologne in Germany, she invited him to play in her city for 1,100 people. And it was the fourth time she was making this event with jazz. And when he arrived, he saw that the piano was actually a practice piano. It was not actually a piano that he could play. So it didn't have the right range of notes. It was pretty old. The board was sticky. So he couldn't really play. And he told her, like, yeah, this piano doesn't work for me. I can't play as well as I would normally play in this piano. So he said, I'm gonna leave, I'm sorry. The problem with that was that it was 5 hours before the 1,100 people came in, and it was a weekend. So she couldn't replace the piano in that time. So what she did, she ran to him in the car, and she said, like, please, please, please play for us. And he said, like, okay, for you, I'll do it. And he decided to record it to tell people why a piano like this doesn't work. So he recorded it, and it ended up being one of the most popular piano jazz records in the world. And why did that happen? Because he found the gold. He saw the gold and he's like, cool, that's gold. And he decided to play. He really worked, he was smart with what he had, and he really made something amazing that he would normally not have done, because if it was a normal piano, he would play what he normally plays, and he wouldn't have to come up with this all creative solutions to work with that and make an amazing masterpiece. So that's one example of serendipity, of how you can work with adversity and still go way better than you think you should, than you think you would normally. So I'm going to tell a little bit about me and serendipity, my story of serendipity. I want to give you a context about myself. I'm 24 years old, and in the last 24 years I lived in 20 different houses, in 8 different cities, in 4 different countries. So in Brazil we call this having, I'm from Brazil, I didn't give this context yet, but we call this having ants in your seats. So you can't really stay seated, you're just moving all the time. So yeah, that's my background. And 2 years ago, I was living in São Paulo, the third biggest city in the world. I was very happy. I had a very nice job at MTV. And I was doing what I loved. I was in a place that I loved, in a house that I really liked, with a lot of friends, and everything was great. But still the ants were in my seat. So I was thinking, what's next? I have to do something next. I learned what I could learn. I have all my friends here, but still I want more. And I feel that's something that a lot of creative people have. And my generation especially, everyone I meet, they're always looking, okay, what can I do next? What can I do next? What's to learn? So then I felt like, I want to move. I want to go somewhere. Want to live abroad again. And where I wanted to be was New York. I was like, I want to be in New York, the Big Apple, and live the American dream. And then I started talking to people, spreading the word. Like, how can I get to New York? And then I found out that actually New York is oversaturated with TV producers, and it would be quite hard for me to get a job there and a visa. So I thought, well, I have a German passport, so I could work very easily in Europe. So let's look for London, because I also speak English, and I think it would be quite hard learning a new language. So again, I started spreading the word, and I met people that introduced me to new people, that introduced me to new people. And one of those people, he was a guy who was making an app that was tracking animals, so pets. So you could put it in your pet, and you would have like a fitness app for your pet. You could know where he is, you could know how many steps he took, if he's being lazy, if he's gaining weight. So totally different from what I did. And I said, no, that's pretty cool, I want to help you out. And he didn't have any money. He was starting it, so I thought, well, it's okay, I'll help you for free in my free time. I still work on MTV, I still have my money, I like working there, but I will help you out just because I want to help you out, and you're also thinking about moving to London with the app, so that's a good opportunity for me. At the same time, he had a partner who had more ants in his seats than I did. He really did everything. It was pretty amazing. His name was Caio, and he also had another company who made social media and branding for very small businesses. So like a small restaurant in the corner, he did the social media for that restaurant. And then I started to help him as well. And I said, okay, I also cannot leave my job because the money you're offering me, I cannot pay my rent. So I'll also help you for free. And if you get more clients and we can get to the amount of money that I can have, then I will work for you, and that's it. Then I have a more independent way of working. It's my own business, so it's something that I would really like to have and to experiment, especially after working in a big company as MTV. And then I started helping him out. And at the same time, the ants were moving. And he had a friend who had a bar in Brazil, which had an amazing garden with a covered area, and that couldn't be used ever because the municipality wouldn't let them. So he thought, well, we can use this during the day for creative people to work there. So let's make a co-working space. Let's just share the space with our friends, and yeah, let's see what happens. And I said, yeah, sure. So me, him, another artist, and another guy. We started organizing everything. The artist, she did some amazing paintings in the garden, and we invited our friends to a lunch. I got a tattoo there that day, because there are tattoo artists, there are comic book drawers, there are musicians, there are all kind of people, and it was this amazing vibe. At the same time, I was telling all about this to my dad. And my dad, he does something totally different than I do. He's in supply chain. He's like very different. But still, we do have a lot of connections sometimes. And he said like, whoa, there's actually a very cool concept coming to Brazil. And it's from the Netherlands. It's called Sits to Meet. And then he connected me to the guy in Brazil who was bringing this to Brazil. And then I said, okay, I'll also start helping you out with your launch event. Let me know what I can do, and I'll do it. So that happened. And then he also said, something you could do is also read the book from the founder, because he's coming over, and I think you have very similar philosophies. And I said, sure, let's read it. And it's for free in the internet. It's like Society 3.0, the name. And I started reading. I remember very well. It was a Sunday morning, in a rare occasion that was gray weather in Brazil. And I said, okay, so let's read. And I was scrolling down the book, and suddenly in my Facebook there's a friend request. And I was like, okay, let's see. And it was Ronald van den Hof, the guy who wrote the book I was reading. And I said, okay, where are the cameras here? Like, where can he watch me? But then I accepted the request and I kept reading. And like, okay, that's weird, but let's just keep on. And then he sends me a message, hey, are you liking my book? And I'm like, okay, no, seriously. Like, it's not possible. And I said like, yeah, I'm actually reading it right now. And he said like, yeah, I'm going to Brazil next week, and I heard you really liked it. So I was like, yeah, sure. So let's meet, let's go for a lunch. And I said, yeah, of course, awesome, that's great. And I was really enjoying the book. It really has a lot to do with my philosophy of working and the future. You should read it as well. Highly recommend it. And then I met him, and then he said, well, you can come to the Netherlands to work with us for a few months, and then we see what happens. And I said, okay, let's do it. And for me, I'm very impulsive, so I said, like, yeah, let's do it. I'll quit my job, I'll sell everything, and I'll go. And then my dad said, Beatriz, calm down. Like, that's where our difference lies. He's an engineer, he's very well planned, and he said, like, Beatriz, calm down. Let's see this through. And then I spoke with MTV. I had a lot of extra hours, and I said, okay, instead of you paying me, give me 1.5 months vacation, and I'll go to the Netherlands to do that. I came here, and well, I'm still here after a year. So I did sell everything. I did quit my job at MTV, but that's the thing with Serendipity. So that's where I did this image. So there's a place where I wanted to be. At first was New York, doing whatever. That didn't really matter. I just wanted to be there. And this is where I am now. And actually, for me, where I am now, it's way better than I wanted to be back then. So that's the goal you find. You just have to open your eyes to see it. So, and yeah, that's my story, my personal story. So now I know that what happened to me was terrifying and horrible, and I know that none of you want it to happen to you. So I'm going to give you some tips on how not to experience serendipity. So the first tip is say no to everything. Like, do you want a new job? No. Do you want to go for a beer now? No, I don't want to. Stay home forever. That's a great tip for not telling serendipity. Although it can still happen. Sometimes you're looking for chocolate and then you find ice cream. That's serendipity. Don't have any needs or wishes. If you don't want anything, then probably nothing will happen. You can just stay in your seat here forever and that's it. But that's probably not the case, otherwise you wouldn't be here. And shut down all your senses. Just close your eyes, don't hear to anything, and just be unaware of everything. And then serendipity will definitely not happen to you. So yeah, but if you want serendipity to happen, I'm gonna let you know about a place 15 minutes away from here. It's called Sitsumit, that's where I work. And I want to let you know what Sitsumit is. So Sitsumit, it actually started as a meeting space renting for corporates. And a few years ago, I think exactly 10 years ago, they thought, okay, so first there are a lot of corporates making their bookings here, but now they're not anymore. So where did all those people go? And then they realized there are a lot of people that are leaving corporates, just as I wanted to be their own boss, so independent workers. So they put a table there for 20 people, and they say, just come in. We have space, we have Wi-Fi, we have coffee. We already make lunch every day for 150 people, so you can also eat. And of course, the place was full in no time, and more people wanted to come. And what we saw is that it wasn't only about the free stuff, but it was about the connection that people were making there. Because they would go there, and because everything was open and for free, they wouldn't go there with the mindset of, like, okay, I'm paying for that, so I'm just gonna sit here with my earplugs and not doing anything. No, they would ask questions, they would talk to each other, and then a very great vibe came in. And of course, this vibe, to keep coming in, you have to have more and more people, because if you only have 20 people forever, at a point you already know everyone, so you're like, okay, this is getting, you guys are cool, but this is getting a little bit boring. So let's invite more and more people. And in no time, there were 150 people going in every single day. So Ronald, the owner of Sitsumit, he thought, let's make a research on that. Like, what makes this vibe like this? What makes people here help each other, want to help each other out, and all of this happened. So a researcher came, Sebastian Oma. He's wrote a book that is there. You can take it with you. And he thought, oh, it's actually serendipity. 3 4 people there experience serendipity. So they do have these encounters that they wouldn't, like you probably wouldn't speak to those people outside of the location, but once you're there, because they have this vibe of openness, of wanting to help each other, it happens. They talk to each other, and even though one is a spatial engineer and the other one's a dentist, there are points where they connect. So this happens a lot, and this results in 1 in 6 people getting new business opportunities. So people get new paid assignments, or maybe a new job, or even they can find a new partner for their own company. They start a new company together. So yeah, and those were the results of the research made in 2015. Now this year we're going to have another one when we hope this number rises. So let's cheer. And then, of course, so how, like, what are the elements that make serendipity happen and those numbers happen? There are 3 very important things. Social capital. That's why Ronald, he decided not to charge those people to come in. He said, like, even though a lot of people are talking about it and then there's this whole buzz around it, let's still not charge. Let's charge them in social capital. So you, by being here, just talking to each other, you're making our location more relevant already. So we don't need to spend anything on marketing, because you're telling your friends to come here, to tell your other friends, and you're probably going to book your meetings here as well, so then you make the money there as well. And it keeps it with 95% of the meeting rooms being used all the time, so it gets pretty busy, and with no marketing spent. Matchmaking, they also developed digital layer for it, so you can know what everyone there is doing. So when you go to Sit to Meet, you make a register, you put your information, you put your skills, your knowledge, and you also put what you're working on today. So I can be a marketing person or a TV producer, but today I have to do my taxes. So I need to find an accountant. So you will match me to accountants that could help me with that. And so it goes. Every single day you get matched to new people. And of course, diversity, it's key. You need to have new people coming in every day, or otherwise the serendipity won't happen, because there'll be every day the same people, so it's limited. So those are the factors that makes it to meet such a place, and that's what they call the Serendipity Machine. So that's what they have in the book, that's what they explain in the book. At first, the Serendipity Machine was the place itself, because it really enhances serendipity. But now we're making also an app, because we thought, why this vibe has to stay only in one location? This should be worldwide. So we had a lot of locations reaching out to us and saying, how can we make that? How can we create this vibe? And we try to explain the whole concept of Sit to Meet, but this can be a little bit too complicated, and I think they have to replicate exactly what is here. And no, you can adapt this whole concept to your own business model. So we came up with the app that makes the matchmaking and gives you locations, and you can see the whole cloud. And now we're reaching out to 250,000 people this year to download, and it will be in 1,000 locations. So you can check in, you can see who's there, and work with social capital. Then you can really have this openness and this diversity and this vibe happening. And of course, you can be found as well. That's a part that a lot of people forget. They think it's only looking for what they need, but if you put your tags, then people are matched to you. So the people who need you and you don't know, you usually don't know the people who need you. So it makes it easier for those people to know, like, oh, she's here. She can help me with that. She can help me exactly with what I need today, and it's easier for you to be found. So this is the Serendipity Machine. We started in January with the app, and it's already on Android. The iOS version is still in the test flight, so still testing, but will come out in 2 weeks. And for us to get to the 250,000 users by the end of the month, no, that's a little bit too ambitious. But by the end of the year, well, you never know. I would ask you all to download it as well if you're interested in it, and reaching out to me, of course. So I would like to propose you a few challenges now. If you actually want to experience serendipity, now I want to challenge you today, because serendipity, this whole vibe can happen here if you don't know each other. So be open. Even though you're a dentist and you're talking to a spatial engineer, there can be a lot of points where you meet and where you can really collaborate together. Create connections, even in random stuff. Maybe you think that something in your personal life and something in your work doesn't really match, but in the end they can really help each other. So do create those connections. It really helps you on generating serendipity. One of my challenges is for you to work at itsumi.com. It's not really commercial because it's free. I'm not making any money out of it. But I would like you all here to get this vibe that I'm talking about and get this whole story. And of course, I'd love to tell you more about the story as well. And if you want, you can email me as well. I'm really here for everyone, and just reach out. So that's my message, and maybe I hope that all of you have this moment on a Sunday morning, in a very probable Sunday morning here in the Netherlands, that you have this amazing encounter of serendipity and it hits you like a flash. So that's it.